All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Potential Project. I'm your host, Sean Calhoun, and if you're here, it's because you're ready to reduce stress, burn stubborn fat, and get your body working with you instead of against you. On this podcast, we're all about simple, no BS strategies for fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle. This way, you can feel strong, confident, and in control. I'll give you the tools, mindset shifts, and habits to help you look and feel your best without spending hours in the gym or stressing over every single meal. Now, let's get into it. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Potential Project. If you are watching me on camera, you can see we have our co-host with us, Palmer. She decided that she wanted to have some attention, so when I was trying to record this, she was scratching at the door, ringing her bells, and barking at me until I picked her up. So therefore, if you're watching this, you'll see her. If not, just know Palmer, my dog, is in my lap as we record this episode. Also, if you're listening to this when it is released, it is between Christmas and New Year's, which seems to be like a blur for a lot of people, right? Not many people are working, or if they are, there's some people who are off, so it's kind of like lackluster effort. Goals have gone away, right? We think it's the new year coming up soon, so let's just eat whatever we want, not really exercise, let's just kick back. Like a lot of weird stuff is going on that is off of our normal routine. And it feels weird because we're creatures of habit and we thrive in a routine. So we're totally off that routine now. And I wanted to bring up this episode because we're going to talk more about mindset today rather than the how-tos and the strategies, because there's no shortage of information out there. If you wanted to, if you have a goal, you can Google it, you can look it up on YouTube, and you can do ChatGPT and get a very detailed plan and get a lot of instructional videos on how to achieve the goal that you want. Like, the information is at your fingertips at any point in time. But what isn't at your fingertips is the mindset and the identity that you need to have in order to follow through with those things and to embody the person who is that outcome, right? It's not about what you do, it's who you become, right? So we're going to talk about a little bit of the identity that comes in place when it comes to achieving your goals and moving forward into this new year in 2026. Now, we all probably sit down and we write out our goals and our intentions and realize kind of where we slipped up, and we get clear on what we want for 2026. Now, what comes up is that things aren't perfect, right? You're going to have setbacks. You're going to have discomfort. You're going to have bad days. And before listening to this, you might have seen those things as a bad thing, right? Oh my gosh, something happened to set me back on my plans for this goal or at work. It's uncomfortable to do these daily tasks that I think I should be doing. And there's just going to be days where you have bad days. And you might look at that as like, oh my gosh, that's throwing me off. I stopped doing the little tasks that I knew I should be doing, and whatever, like it just threw me off. It was a bad thing, and you kind of pout about it, right? You complain or you resist to do it again. That's a big one, where something happens and then you resist to want to do it again. So that slows your progress or your consistency. Well, I'm here to tell you that number one, that's a totally normal experience to have and a feeling, and you should feel your feelings. But number two, we're going to reframe that so that you can understand that all of those things that are happening in your life that seem like setbacks and seem like bad things are really bringing you clarity when you're able to dial it down. So let me give you an example. In life, you need to know what you want. So that you have to be very clear on what it is, the outcome that you want. You can be kind of vague, but if you want something specific, you need to be specific, right? You don't need to set a time limit on it, but you need to be specific. So if you're trying to lose 40 pounds, you can't say, I want to lose 40 pounds by March, because you don't know when the weight is going to come off. You can say that you want to lose 40 pounds. That's valid, and that's a good goal to have. But what happens is from there, you work backwards and you set intentions and you set daily actions to work on that goal. Now, when you're on that path, some of those goals and some of those tasks might be drink a certain amount of water every day, get a certain amount of steps in, eat a certain amount of protein, right? Exercise X amount of times per week. Those are in alignment with achieving the goal of losing 40 pounds. But then something happens and you skipped your workout, right? You get a flat tire on the way to the gym so that you can't make it there, and you use that as an excuse as to why you couldn't get your workout in. And you let that beat you up, and then you don't work out the next day because you're so frustrated and you had to take your car into Pep Boys and get it fixed up and get a new tire, and it kind of compounds, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that those bad things can be clarity towards what you truly want. So for me personally, the past couple of days, I haven't felt well, and that's not ideal, right? Low energy, foggy, I'm off my routine, and things just felt off, right? So at first I was like, man, this is really inconvenient. Like I feel like I'm not being productive. I feel like I should be doing something, but I also needed some rest, right? I had to literally shut my eyes and let my body heal. Well, at first you might look at this and say, well, that's a bad thing. Like being sick, that's unfortunate. But with this mindset that we're talking about today, I looked at being sick and I said, let me have it clarify what I truly want. So while I wasn't feeling good, I had a really burning desire to feel better, to have my health at optimal levels. It also allowed me to see where I was slipping up with eating more sugar than I should have, not being on a proper exercise routine, and just letting myself go for a elongated period of time during the holiday season. And again, nothing wrong with enjoying your time during the holidays, but me being sick allowed me to see that. And it wasn't because it's cold and flu season. It's because I wasn't walking outside as much. I was eating more cookies than I should have. I was staying up later than I normally would on days where we had parties. That's what caused me to be sick and to get a virus or something that had me sick for like one day. The point is what I normally would have thought as a bad thing, aka being sick, I looked at it as a way to channel that negative energy to know exactly what I do want. I want optimal health. I know that I was slipping up in these 3 situations, and here's what I'm going to do going forward to make sure that I don't do that again. So what I'm saying is, in negative situations in life, they're a really good opportunity for you to get very clear on what you want. Because in life, you have to have clarity and you have to know what you want, like we said before. And if you don't and you're just kind of coasting through, sometimes negative situations will arise to give you that opportunity to really boil down and focus your energy on what you do want so that you can channel that going forward and make the steps that are necessary to achieve it, right? So the principle we're trying to get at here and the whole concept is that clarity comes from these negative situations. Let's say here's a couple examples, right? Like, let's say for your health, you have low energy, you're bloated, you have excess weight that you want to lose, and you're not sleeping well. So instead of judging yourself, ask yourself, what are these symptoms teaching me about how I want my body to feel? So it goes back to, you don't just want to lose weight. It's not just about a number on the scale. It's showing you that, hey, I want to have high energy. I want to feel cool and calm after I eat food. I want to be at a manageable weight, and I want to sleep all night. Through the night, I want to have good, vital sleep. So all of those negative things that seem negative, if you harp on them, they become negative. But if not, you can use them and channel them to become directions towards things that you actually do want, right? In your career or your business. Maybe you're experiencing burnout, you're experiencing resentment or a lack of fulfillment. And the problem isn't just your workload, it's that you're in a misalignment with your job or your business. So all of those frustration points actually point you to the standard you actually want to live by. So they're again, directions and steps towards becoming your higher self and giving you exactly what you do want. I may have touched on the relationships, but in a relationship example, let's say you feel unseen, you feel unsupported, or you're disconnected from your partner, right? The communication isn't there. So that discomfort of that situation, it clarifies the type of communication and connection that you value in a partner. And either you can help change that within your current partner, or if that relationship doesn't work out, you can utilize that to find a person who embodies those qualities. Hey, hope you're loving the episode so far. Thanks for spending some time with me. I got a quick favor to ask. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast because that's how I know you're getting value from the show. And this way, you never miss an episode. All right, now back to the show. and you can attract someone who you actually do value, who has the same, thought process and the same values in the relationship. Let's say it's your time management and your lifestyle. You're feeling rushed all the time. You're feeling overwhelmed and scattered. This happens a lot to people where they kind of wake up and they're playing catch up all day long. They're not ahead of what's going on. They're just trying to muster up enough strength and enough, figure it out ability to get through the day. Well, that clarifies how much you crave structure, space, and intention throughout the day. So just remember in all of this, the feeling that you're experiencing is not the enemy. It's just simply a messenger. So if you enable yourself to step back from the scenario and see how life is happening for you instead of how it's happening to you, you can find that little seed that can become something great. Again, some things are unfortunate and they might seem more severe at the time, right? You getting into a serious car crash might be way worse than if someone messes up your order in a drive-thru, right? Like there's certain things that are worse than others, but guess what? If you're able to remove the emotion from it, or at least minimize how long you linger in that, then you can step back and say, okay, how is life happening for me? What is the little nugget that I can learn? And how can this help me clarify what I truly do want? And so back to my other point is that knowing what you want is step number one, because you can't make aligned decisions in life without that clarity of knowing exactly what it is that you want, without putting a date on it, but getting real specific on what it is that you want to attain. So a vague want or a vague goal is going to create vague results, right? If you get into the car, you don't just type in a random location. You don't just type in food and you drive anywhere. You might get to a restaurant, but if you want Mexican food, you type in a certain Mexican restaurant, the GPS pulls it up and you drive there, and that's what you get, right? So specific desires are going to get you specific actions and specific results. So once you're clear, like when it comes to health, let's say, once you're clear that you want energy, strength, consistency, and vitality, your decisions are going to change without you forcing discipline on it, right? It's not about being more disciplined. It's about being in alignment with what you truly want. Here are some action steps that you can take today. And I urge you to take out a pencil and paper or pen and paper and write these down so that you can actually, go through the process, experience what it's like, and then you can take action on that in your own life. So step number one is to name the discomfort. Ask yourself, what feels off right now, or what have I been avoiding? So take some time, write that on a piece of paper, journal it out, right? You know intuitively what's been off, or something that a task or a habit that you've been avoiding. Step number two is to extract the lesson, right? I want you to finish this sentence in writing. This situation is showing me that I really want, right? This situation is showing me that I really want more clarity in my life, or to be more consistent, or that I really want to have a more purpose in life. Whatever it is, based on step number one, you're writing that sentence for step number two and finishing the sentence. Now, step number three is to define the standard. I want you to get specific with this one. Not, I want better health, but what better health actually looks like day to day. I have a thing I call my level 10 vision, and it's a 2-page typed out situation of my life in an ideal scenario. I go into vivid detail about what my health, my relationship, my home, my business, all of it looks like. And when I close my eyes, and I did an audio recording of it, so I can't read it with my eyes closed, but I read it into my phone so that I can listen to myself. And if I close my eyes listening to it, I can see that life and I get really close to it and I get a really good understanding of what I want. So don't just say I want better health, but actually what better health looks like on a day-to-day basis. And then step number 4 is to adjust one thing. This is where a lot of people go gung-ho and get things wrong, right? They want to revamp their whole entire life. They want to do 90 different things. They want to take the most extreme measures, but they're not ready for that. And this is where you get frustrated and you beat yourself up and you don't continue down the path. For example, If you can only bench press 20 pounds and your goal is to bench press 500 pounds, you are not going to do that tomorrow. It is too steep of a gradient. You cannot make those jumps. So same thing goes with your goals and with your ability to have confidence and belief in yourself. So right now, you need to pick one thing, because if you overhaul it, your belief isn't there yet and you'll sabotage yourself and not continue down the path. So pick one small adjustment that honors the clarity that you just gained from those other 3 steps. Now that you know what it is that you want, what is something that you can do today, right? Whether that's adjust what time you go to sleep, maybe a food choice that you make, maybe it's setting boundaries with people, maybe it's adjusting your schedule a bit, maybe it's getting more movement in throughout the day. Those are just some examples, but everyone's is going to be different because you're an individual and you made this yourself. Now, step 5, the final action step, is to stop fighting the signal, right? Instead of wishing the moment away, use it and let it refine you, because along this journey and through this process of life, you're going to have setbacks. So instead of wishing that bad thing didn't happen to you, step into it, embody the feelings, feel it, and then let it refine you and understand how you can create that into something more powerful and to use it as a seed for a better version of yourself. So just remember that clarity becomes a gift even when it becomes wrapped in these inconveniences in life. So when you use that and you bring awareness plus action, it's going to compound over time. So we have these quote unquote negative scenarios. You sit back, you step into it, you acknowledge what it is, you bring awareness to the situation, and you take action off of that. It's going to compound in your favor so that your positivity and your ability to move down the path without hesitation and without setbacks is going to be undeniable. So just remember, you don't need to avoid every hard moment. You just need to listen what it's trying to show you. So if this episode struck a chord, if you learned something, if it made sense to you, first thing I want you to do is to, if you haven't already, go back and do those action steps, because you sharing this with someone is great, but what's more important is that you actually get the value from it and actually apply it into your own life. So I want to hear from you guys. If this landed with you, if you have any questions, please reach out to me so that I can know that it's either making an impact in your life or it's confusing, because I want what I'm saying on here to help you progress down the road and to live a more vital, happy life. So that's it for this episode, guys. I'm sorry I was a little sniffly today. I'm still getting over what I was experiencing, but I wanted to share this thought with you all and make sure that the message rang through. And I will see you guys next week. Hey, thanks for spending some time with me on today's episode. I hope you got a ton of value from it. If we're not connected on Instagram yet, let's change that. Hit me up at Sean Calhoun _. That's SEAN Calhoun _. Shoot me a DM. Let me know what you think of the show, or if you got any questions about how to level up your health. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on the next episode.